Our first guest tonight is a Tony-winning, Emmy-nominated actor you know from the Harry Potter franchise, Miracle Workers, as well as Merrily We Roll Along on Broadway. He's back on Broadway through May 24th, starring in Every Brilliant Thing at the Hudson Theater, and also starring in The Fall and Rise of Reggie Dinkins, which airs Mondays on NBC and streams the next day on Peacock. Please welcome back to the show our very good friend, Daniel Radcliffe, everybody.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me again.
Very exciting to have you here. It's very exciting to have you back on Broadway, the same theater you did Merrily.
Yes, it's very nice to be back.
Sometimes I will go to a theater where I've seen a different play, and I cannot believe how different it looks.
Yes.
Even as now a Broadway vet, are you also surprised when you walk in and see what they've done with the same space?
Particularly for this show, we have really changed the space entirely. The stage has steps now that go into the audience because there's a lot of, as we will talk about, there's a lot of audience interaction in this show, and the audience is also on stage with me, so there's sort of three sides, so it's kind of in the round. So we've done a lot to it, but the Hudson is also, for anyone who has been, it's a beautiful theatre. Like, it's a really great, so I'm very, very happy and lucky to be back there.
And it's you mentioned the audience participation. This is a show where basically if you show up, if you buy a ticket for this show, you might be actually speaking in the show.
There is a chance, yes.
Yeah.
So there's two sort of grades of audience participation. There's a sort of low impact, low pressure one where I give you a card which has a number and a thing on it, and I say the number in the show and you shout the thing back at me. And then there are 5 people who will be playing parts in the show that night when they come to see it. They don't know that when they walk in, and I kind of, so half an hour before the show, I start the show in the audience before the show begins every night, and I'm kind of chatting to you as you come in and trying to figure out who is going to play which parts. I think I might have roped Seth into playing a part when he comes to the show. So like, it's a very unique.
Do you have like a plan? Are you looking for something in an audience member that makes you think they'll be good for this or they'll be good for that?
Not particularly. I mean, it really is just you go on kind of vibes and connection and hoping. And you know, we've been pretty fortunate so far. We have not had anybody get up and do anything like crazy. So you're kind of trying to look for that as a bit of a radar.
Yeah.
But like, generally speaking,
would you say like if someone's too eager, you tend to like, if they're...
Yeah, I mean, I have had at least one like slightly, very nice man, but like a little bit drunk, maybe be like, hey, use my wife. Like, just get her up there. And I'm like, and a lot of people want me to humiliate their relatives. They're like, hey, here's my dad, embarrass him. I'm like, that's really not the point of the show. It's not the feel. It's like, we want everyone to have like a nice time when they're up.
There's a thing where critics come to a show and they review a show, and they're also in the audience. And there was a very positive review of the show in Vulture. Literally, the Sarah Holdren wrote, Daniel Radcliffe and I are married now.
Yes. I did get married to Sarah Holdren on stage.
But you did not know that this was a critic?
I was informed moments after I finished the performance that I had picked a major critic to play my love interest that night. And then I immediately started kind of backtracking in my mind to like, well, she seemed to be laughing. She seemed to be having a good time. I guess it was going well. So yeah, but fortunately, thank God she liked the show. And yeah, it's wonderful. Like, the great thing about the show is that I think people worry that when we get them up on stage that they have to be like super smart or super funny or super whatever. And if you are those things, then that's great and that will be cool. But really the only thing the show needs to succeed is kindness. And I think I'm pretty good at spotting that in people now, particularly if you get a family and you're like, hey, is your mum a very kind person? They'll be like, yeah, she's the kindest in the world. Get her up there, get her up. It's very, very sweet. And so, yeah, I like to think nobody who has come up to the audience participation has left regretting. I think everyone has had a really nice time.
Yeah, that's lovely.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing I would regret is if you asked somebody, is your mom nice? And they were like, no.
I mean, yeah, that would be...
That is not good casting.
There has been a couple of, like, supremely awkward moments when I approach people and ask them, are you a couple? And the other day it was like, no, we're mother and son. Oh. So I was like, oh, God, I'm so... I don't know who I feel more sorry about. I'm so sorry. But, yeah, so there's some awkward moments, but, like, fun stuff.
Well, just the real awkward moment is when they drove home.
Yes. Yeah, I didn't have to be there for that, thankfully.
Yeah, that's nice. You had our friend, your current co-star on Reggie Dinkins, Tracy Morgan was on this show, and he said he was going to come, the great Tracy Morgan. And he said he was going to come support you on Broadway. Did he show up?
He absolutely did. Yeah, him. We've had him, Erica, Alexander, Precious Way, and Bobby Moynihan. All like so many of the cast of the show have come. Tracy, I was like, I need to give him something to shout out. I landed on number 24 of. The show is Spaghetti Bolognese. And so the people who laugh know immediately how that will sound coming out of Tracy's amazing voice. And he absolutely nailed it.
Now, could everybody in the audience see it was Tracy Morgan?
They could
Or when they
not.
heard it, were they like, oh, Tracy's here?
I imagine that.
Yeah.
Like, I imagine the people sitting on stage might have been able to see him, but, you know, it's a pretty inimitable style he has.
Yeah.
So I feel like anyone, and especially, I mean, maybe you know that I'm on a show with him currently, so people would have just been going like, wow, if that's not Tracy Morgan.
Yeah.
It's a very good Tracy Morgan impression.
It is very funny. Like, at this point in my life, I've not met a second person who talks like him.
No, yeah.
So
yeah.
it would be very weird if they were at a Broadway show of somebody who co-starred with
Yes,
him. Yeah.
actually, yeah. No, he was amazing.
Your parents are very supportive, if I recall.
Yes.
Have they come to see this show?
Yes, they are batting about 500 in terms of how many shows they've come to see right now. They're at about 50%.
Of this show?
Of this show.
Oh, wow.
No,
so they
not of
come a
everything.
lot.
They've come a lot. They come a lot in previews. They were there for, I reckon, about half the shows. It bears rewatching more than most shows because so much changes every night. But they are also just very proud, supportive parents.
Yeah.
And there is one bit in the show where I have to reference an old couple in the audience, and it's much nicer to do that with my own parents than to approach an otherwise, like, you know, a well-meaning older couple and be like, hey, do you mind if I call you old in the first 5 minutes of the show? So it's easier to do that with them.
That's very nice. Your Broadway debut was Equus.
Yeah.
What was your first experience doing a Broadway show in New York?
Well, I mean, it was amazing. Like, I was working with Richard Griffiths and all these incredible actors, and it was, you know, a very intense show to do. This one's a lot more sort of fun in many ways. But I had this amazing experience of just like what a theater-centric town New York is, because I was running in Central Park and I just thought that I would know my way home, and I got incredibly lost.
Yeah.
And I exited the park miles from where I was supposed to be, and I was like, right, I don't know, and I know it's a grid, but I hadn't figured that out yet. And I was trying to work out how to get home, and I was like, oh, there's a fire truck and some firefighters. They probably know their way around. So I just went up to one of them and I was like, hi, do you know how I get to like West 66th or wherever I was staying? And the firefighter I talked to was like, hey, you're doing that horseplay, right? And I was like, I don't know, it was very cool. The fact that just like everyone in New York like knows about theater and knew about like Equus of all the plays to know about. Like it was very cool.
It is the most horseplay of all horseplay.
It is true horseplay.
It is true horseplay.
Yeah.
I got more to ask you. We'll be right back with Daniel after this.
Okay, yeah. I wanted action. I am getting it. Finally, literal conflict. For the past 2 months, I have done nothing but eat, sleep, and breathe this documentary. And now, look, we're out in the world, sun is shining, blood is pumping, and something is about to happen. I can feel it.
What you doing?
I'm just doing my thing. I'm the director in charge of all this. What you doing?
We're here with Daniel Radcliffe. That was a clip from The Fall and Rise of Reggie Dinkins and Megan Thee Stallion.
Yeah.
And did you direct Megan here?
I did not.
Okay.
No. Megan Thee Stallion is a guest star in the first season of our show, which is like I think we were all just incredibly lucky that somebody as famous and cool as her was like, yeah, we'll dive in on. I feel like people normally wait for a show to become like a hit before they get involved, and she was like, I guess Tina knows her, and
this is Tina Fey, Robert Carlock, Sam Means. This is an incredible team of people,
it's amazing.
all of whom worked on 30 Rock, obviously. 30 Rock, was that a show? When did you become aware of 30 Rock?
So actually, when I came to New York to do Equus, a friend of mine was visiting from the UK, and he was like, "You're in New York. You need to watch like the best New York show that is like current." And he gave me a box set of 30 Rock, and so that was my first introduction to it. So the idea that then like 15 years later I would be working with that team and with Tracy is just like, you know, mind blowing and so cool. And yeah, the show's great. It's really funny. Like Megan was so like up for playing and was really, really fun and just awesome. And yeah, the whole cast, like, you know, Tracy, Erica, Precious, Bobby. It's
we talked last time you were here where we were talking about Merrily, we'll roll along. We were talking about how you now know Tracy. And how you can hear stories about what Tracy is like, but until you work with him, you don't fully appreciate how much he is Tracy Morgan.
Yeah, you really don't. And it's a lovely thing, but then when you watch other people meet him, you see people have the same face of like, oh, right, it's just Tracy Morgan, Tracy Jordan. There's a very thin line.
Yeah.
Like,
after you meet with Tracy, you're not like, how'd you get into character for Tracy Jordan?
right.
What,
Yeah.
do you have a favorite thing he said to you?
I mean, I can't possibly
Yeah.
narrow it down. Can I swear? Can you bleep it?
You can, yeah.
He said at one point, and this is as much context as I had for this comment. He said, "I told Flavor Flav, you take that clock off." And I think that was just like, between turnover and action. Like there was no, it came out of nowhere. He's like, I've been to Tracy's house.
Now
which-
that I'm so jealous of, because I've known Tracy for like 25 years, never got an invite to the house.
Dude.
I love talking to him about the house.
Yeah, it's everything you think.
Yeah.
So he does have a Shark Tank.
Yeah.
He has, I think, and that's the big one. Then he's got like 11 smaller fish
Yeah.
tanks. But like he does have a pool table with piranhas in the bottom. He does have like a cone snail, which is the deadliest creature in the world by weight. It can kill a blue whale. He has glass from the Titanic. He has one of Michael Jackson's gloves. He has a basketball court. Like it's just, it is. It's the like if you ever get a chance, if your life ever takes you to a place where Tracy Morgan is inviting you to his house, you just have to go.
Yeah. I would imagine too, like. Also, I would imagine you want the tour with Tracy. You don't want to be there like when Tracy's out of town and you don't want somebody else explaining it to you.
I did get some of the tour from his assistant Lucas, and that's also a very fun person to get the tour from. I would say, because like he knows I'm like, wait, how is this happening? Like it's a good sort of behind the scenes look at things. Which is
We once after an Emmys, it was like all the New York people who were at the Emmys were all flying back on the same red eye. And I just remember it was like sort of all of us on the plane. And Tracy, it was, everybody wanted to go to sleep. And then Tracy was just talking about like, his fish tanks. I remember John Slattery was like, I want to sleep, but I also feel like this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. Yeah.
There's a lot of, I mean, it is just, and I went to a Knicks game with Tracy, which again is like going to the Knicks game with the mayor of New York. So like, he knows everyone. He's an amazing character. And kind of like, particularly at MSG, he feels like, it's him and Spike Lee. They are like the guys who are there every day, and like, it's
I think people love a Knicks fan who is authentically a Knicks fan.
Genuine Knicks fan. Like he is not. He's not.
He didn't come to it like no, it's almost like he wanted to be famous so he could sit there.
And he shouts at the player. He kept telling me he was gonna make LeBron James give me one of his shoes, and I was like, please don't. I'm sure he doesn't want to do that.
By the way, I can't remember who did it, but Tina went to a game with him, and he pointed out a player, not even. Someone on the Knicks, he's like, he's gonna give you his shoes. And Tina's like, he gave me his shoes.
And it was his, and I believe it was that player's first game.
It was,
and
they
so
just traded for him.
Right, and Tracy was like, yo, give Tina your shoes. And he did.
He did, and it's really funny because Tina has a great picture, which is like, if you said like, what's this a picture of? You're like, that's Tracy asking a man to give you his shoes. Because it's like him talking and the guy sort of looking over at Tina. And it worked. You also, we've talked in the past, obviously grew up in England, but now NFL fan.
Yep.
You love American football.
Yes.
You've got a child. Are you trying to get them into football or trying to keep them away?
No, I'm trying to I hope he enjoys it. I hope he likes watching sports. So I feel like we're pretty good on like screen time, but we let sports, we're just like, hopefully subliminally you'll just be into this. So like football, the Olympics, he was watching a lot of that. And yeah, I'm raising a little American. He's got like he's got an incredibly cute voice. Right? When I hear him, when he's here on his own, I don't think of him as having a weird accent. And then I meet him with like other American kids. I'm like, no, you have a bizarre little voice. You have like you're right in the middle. But like the other day, I've been working more recently, so I've been away from home a little bit more, and his accent's become like 20% more American in the last few weeks. So it's very strange, but it's very cute. He says Saturday with like 5 R's. He goes Saturday. Yeah, it's cute.
Do you think it's healthy that you get away so he can actually like have the accent of his home nation?
No, I'm gonna keep trying to infect him with like Britishisms. Like he says trousers in a cute little voice still.
Yeah.
So like I'm gonna.
He's like, oh, the game's on. I'm gonna put on my football trousers.
yeah.
Congrats on the show, both shows, and thanks for being here. It's always the best here. Daniel wrapped up, everybody. Starring in every brilliant thing through May 24th at the Hudson Theater. The Fall and Rise of Reggie Dinkins airs Mondays on NBC. Streams the next day in Peacock. We'll be right back with Kate.